I think everyone, in order to consider yourself successful, you have to define what success is. So for me, the definition of success changes every 6 months to a year, so I'm perpetually unsuccessful. I think it just keeps things interesting. I think once you achieve a goal, then you have to set another one. And if you perpetually set new goals, eventually they get so big and so hard it's impossible to attain. So with success goals, for me, that just means changing what it feels like and what it looks like. What is the Renee Robyn style? I'm not actually sure. I think it is the visual expulsion of ideas of someone who grew up on a farm watching wildlife and listening to fairy tales of, Native American culture and, European culture, and reading a lot of fantasy novels and a lot of graphic novels and video games, and all of a sudden that turns into what this is. And every single person who looks at my work seems to have their own idea of what it is and what it means. So I would say I'm not sure. I just make it. I think my clients hire me because every single one of my clients who comes to me is looking for something different, which is ironic because so many people are creating, especially now, so many amazing different types of different work, and it's all excellent. It just happened to be a style of different that works for a lot of people. So the style that I'm in now, I thought started in my mid-20s, and it turns out may have started a lot younger than that. I recently went into an old photo album when I was 6 years old, and I found that I used to take all these pictures of cats. I grew up on a farm, we had animals everywhere, and I would take these pictures of my cats, and I would cut them out with scissors, and then I would glue them into different things, so like we had fish tanks. So I would cut out a picture of my cat jumping off the bed, and then I would glue him into jumping into the fish tank, So maybe compositing started a lot earlier for me than I consciously think it did. I would see what was there, and I would wonder, well, what could it be? But that's only a recent discovery. I didn't really discover these photo albums until, not very long ago. But consciously, it happened in my 20s. Everything was, this is what I see, but what can it be? And then when Photoshop came along, I think I was in my teens when I discovered Photoshop. I wasn't using it for what I do now at all, but that was the opening of a very fine door, of this tiny little micro crack in an existence, where all of a sudden later became this massive pouring of creativity from there. Travel is most of my life. It's a lot of it. I've spent a lot of the last year and a bit trying to slow it down because it's so much. At the height of my travel, I was in a different time zone, or at least a different city, every 7 days for years on end. Everyone I know who I talk to is like, oh my God, travel must be so amazing. And it is, until you have to travel with 60 pounds of gear everywhere before even your clothes or anything like that show up. So it's work. It's a lot of work. Photography itself isn't the thing that speaks to me, actually. I make my living in photography, but photography isn't really the thing that gets me going. I'm inspired by it. I think it's beautiful, and I love the stories that people make, and I've met incredible people because of photography. But the stuff that really gets me going is illustration. That's the stuff that I really like. And I do compositing because I'm a crappy illustrator. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to be better. I think oftentimes when I'm looking at inspiration, everything is this is gonna sound weird, everything is the slight bit of perfume on a breeze in summer from a tree that you can't really identify. So I wait for those little pieces. So, when I go to these castles and other places around the world, or when I see people or meet with designers or whatever, everything is like this little piece of something floating in the air, and I'm just trying to reach out and catch it, you know. And if you grab too fast, it turns to dust, or, you know, it just like disappears, right? It has to be like just the right speed, and I'm always listening and feeling and waiting for that, and every now and then it comes together. But sometimes these ideas take, you know, I have some ideas I've been working on for 10 years, you know, and I'm just waiting for the right combination of these little pieces to come through. So it's, you know, I'm very interested in a lot of things, but I only take a micro piece from each one to turn it into something else. Europe is fascinating to me because I grew up in Canada. So I had my first studio was in the historic district in Edmonton, and the building was 100 years old. So, you know, when you come overseas to Europe, I mean, of course, reading novels, you know, from like a young kid on like dragons and castles and knights and all this stuff, you know, like as a kid, I could not fathom standing in front of a building that was 1,200 years old, right? Like that was just like so beyond me that, you know, the science and the mathematics was there, the engineering was there to build such incredible structures, and yet here we are, you know, in some cases 5,000 years later, and I'm living in a house made of wood. And so I find it really boring, and I find it really lacking creativity and lacking any lasting power. It lacks inspiration, it lacks art. You know, it's pure function, which is useful, but I don't really know how much I really appreciate being surrounded by it. Travel is most of my life. It's a lot of it. I've spent a lot of the last year and a bit trying to slow it down because it's so much. At the height of my travel, I was in a different time zone, or at least a different city every 7 days for years on end. So that was a lot. So I'm trying to slow it down to at least a month in every time zone, although it doesn't always work that way. A lot of the times just because I shoot my own footage, and so for the clients that I'm creating the images for, I have to have a massive library of whatever it is that I'm going to be working with. So I'm constantly trying to collect for my future self and my future clients, trying to predict what's coming, and then working on that from there on how to give myself the best possible option to create great artwork for people. I think the importance of paying attention to details, at least for the work that I do for myself, is I don't want people to know what was real and what's been digitally manipulated. I want it to all look seamless. I want people to look at the work that I make and go, wow, that's really cool, or that's really interesting, or that's repulsive, or whatever. It doesn't have to be good things, but I just don't want them to see where I've digitally manipulated the work. Honestly, when I'm educating myself, it's just butt in chair, trying stuff out, you know, knowing where my weaknesses are, and then just keep chipping away at them. Say I'm struggling with color harmony, right? So that just means I'm going to dedicate 6 months to trying to get better at understanding color harmony. Or if I'm struggling with, you know, vanishing lines or perspective points or whatever, I pick it, and then I decide, okay, every single job that I'm doing from here on out, I'm going to take a few minutes on every single image that I work on and try to make this better. Doesn't mean I'm going to do a giant course on it and only do that for 6 months, but I'm going to take every single day, every single time I open Photoshop, I'm going to take 5 minutes out of that day and try to understand whatever it is that I'm struggling with better. So I think there's a massive difference between craft and being an artist. I personally put myself in the craftsperson category as opposed to the artist category. I think there is such a thing as an artist in every level of creativity, whether that's programming, whether that's illustration, whether that's, automotive work, whatever. There is a level of artistry in all those fields, creative writing. But I do think that, for my own personal opinion, that craft comes in when you're using a lot of tools to make your life easier to create the thing. So in digital art and Photoshop, we have, the painter, all these programs, we have all this stuff, all these tools that make things easier for us. Like we literally have, an auto color grade button, which in my mind is not making an art, that's using a tool to create something. But you're not really having an active process in it. You're just kind of hitting these automated actions that spit out certain results. So for me, that puts me firmly in the craft category, even though I love playing with color. And I also, a lot of people get really offended when I say, there's craft and then there's artisans, and how I feel that they're very different. And craft is just as important as art in my mind. There is no one is better than the other, right? Because they're both they're all creating things that people love and enjoy and whatever. I mean, it's this way to be creative and to express yourself at the best that you can, the most efficient ways that you can. But yeah, I don't think they're the same thing at all. And I definitely think that the work that I do falls into the crafts category. Another question I get asked a lot is, what does it take to be a freelancer? Is it courage? Is it, daringness? Is it whatever? And I say it's always the thing that works for you, whatever that is. So if being brave and just going against the norm is what works for you, then do that, and then, commit to that. If it is, I have seen being a successful, quote unquote, creative work for every single personality type, for every single reason. So it's finding out most about your truest, authentic self and then owning the shit out of it. Anyone who's looking for education or tutorials that I've been a part of, there's 2 RGG tutorials that I've done that I'm super, super proud of. They're both the exact type of tutorials that I've always wanted to make, and you can find them at rggedu.com, and I really hope you like them.